Hello children. In this video, let us discuss about the ball poem written by John Berryman. Before discussing about the poem, let us know about the poet. John Berryman was born on 25th October 1914 in McAlester, Oklahoma. He was an American poet and a scholar. He was a major figure of the 20th century's American poetry. He was considered as a key figure in the confessional school of poetry. Children, before going to the poem, I would like to ask you few questions. You answer it for yourself. Do you like to play? Yes, of course you do, right? I think you miss playing volleyball, throw ball, cricket, and so on due to this situation right now. Now let us go through the poem. Open your textbook, children. The ball poem. A boy loses a ball. He is very upset. A ball doesn't cost much, nor is it difficult to buy another ball. Why then is the boy so upset? Read the poem to see what the poet thinks has been lost and what the boy has to learn from the experience of losing something. What is the boy now who has lost his ball? What is he to do? I saw it go, merrily bouncing down the street, and then merrily over there it is in the water. No use to say, "Oh, there are other balls." An ultimate shaking grief fixes the boy. As he stands right, trembling, staring down, all his young days into the harbor where his ball went. I would not intrude on him. A dime another ball is worthless. Now he senses first responsibility. In a world of possessions, people will take balls. Balls will be lost always, little boy. And no one buys a ball back. Money is external. He is learning well behind his desperate eyes. This epistemology of loss, how to stand up, knowing what every man must one day know, and most know many days how to stand up. Written by John Berryman. Dear children, the idea of this poem is it describes the grief of a boy over the loss of his ball. With that loss, he senses his first responsibility in a materialistic world, where those whom you love and your worldly possessions will not be with you forever. This poem shows how all through our life we will be forced to do things that we don't want to do sometimes, or we will lose or have to give up the things that we love. But despite this, we have to learn to stand up, to be strong and get on with our life, no matter how much it hurts inside, because that is the only way we will survive. This poem thus teaches us to learn to accept and let go and not cling on to something that you can never have. Dear children, now let us look at the poem stanza wise. Follow the poem, children. What is the boy now who has lost his ball? What is he to do? I saw it go, merrily bouncing down the street, and then merrily over there it is in the water. Children, in these lines, the poet asks his readers a question. He has seen a young boy's ball rolling away from him, bouncing happily on its way, and finally falling into water. He asks his readers what the boy should do now. Here, children, for the first time in his young life, the boy is learning what it is like to experience grief at the loss of a much loved possession. That is, for a little boy, his much loved possession is his ball. The ball is here symbolic of the sweet memories of his childhood. The boy loses his ball and watches it bouncing down the street into the water. To us, the loss of a ball is of minor consequence, but to the little boy, it was a valued possession. Now let us move on to the next lines. No use to say, "Oh, there are other balls." An ultimate shaking grief fixes the boy as he stands rigid, trembling, staring down all his young days into the harbor where his ball went. I would not intrude on him. A dime, another ball is worthless. Children, here merrily means happily. Oh, there are other balls means these words suggest that the loss is not important enough to worry about. Dear children, in these lines, the poet thinks for a moment that he ought to console the boy who has lost his ball by telling him that there will be other balls just like that one which he will come across sooner or later. When the young boy loses his ball, it bounces away and lands in the harbor. The boy is very much troubled at the loss of his ball and plunges into grief. He stands stiff and trembling while staring at his ball. He is upset as he looks into the gloomy water because he cannot find the ball. The boy is deeply affected by the loss of his ball because it has been with him for a long time. When the ball bounces into the water, all his memories of the childhood days flashes in front of him. This leads to a realization that those moments would not come back, just like the ball. Further, the poet does not offer him money to buy another ball because that would be worthless. Children, in these lines, ultimate means final, shaking grief means sadness which greatly affects the boy, rigid means stiff like a statue, trembling means shivering, harbor means a place where ships load and unload goods. Intrude on, here it means to enter a situation where one is not welcome. A dime means currency of US, which means 10 cents. Dear children, in these lines of the ball poem, you have seen how for the little boy, his ball is the first thing he has ever held dear. However, he has never even considered the possibility that he might one day lose his ball. It is only when that happens he realizes that it was his responsibility to keep the ball safe. The boy quickly realizes that everything he will ever own will be his responsibility. He also realizes that things will get lost from time to time and money simply cannot replace them all. He is learning these lessons, he is growing up. He will never again be as innocent as he was before the loss of his ball. He will never be naive enough to not feel the pressure of his responsibility. This is a very painful thing for the poet to watch. Dear children, I hope you have understood these lines of the ball poem. In the next video, let us continue with the next part of the poem. Thank you, children. Happy learning.